Hey everyone, welcome to Countered, where we look at popular or problematic champions and discuss ways to deal with them. My name is Shakrez, and today we are looking at Malzahar in the support position. Malzahar recently appeared in the support role after the patch 6.23 changes to his Voidlings. With reduced pushing power, he disappeared from the mid lane and shifted to the support role instead. So what makes him a strong pick? Well, as with all mage supports, damage is a big reason why they are picked. Malzahar's damage might not be as high as Zyra's or Brand's, as most of his damage is single target. Voidlings do a ton of damage right from level 1, and once he gets to level 3, he gets a full rotation of spells, which includes a silence, and he can easily force opponents out of lane by himself, and in some cases even kill them. His lockdown is incredibly potent. At max rank he has a 2-second silence, and suppression is an incredibly strong CC effect, as it can't be cleansed and requires the purchase of a Quicksilver Sash. Flashing in and instantly suppressing a target is almost impossible to react to and allows for teams to pick off stragglers during the mid game. Finally, he's more durable than your typical mage due to his passive Void Shift. The window of time in which his passive is down also becomes increasingly harder to exploit as the game goes on. On the flip side, he's not a very mobile champion, and once his passive is down, he's quite easy to catch and kill. Mid lane Malzahar would often run Ghost as a second summoner to shore up these weaknesses, but it's simply not possible in the support role. He also has relatively low range on his spells. Despite Call of the Void being a 900 range ability, he needs to get closer to cast Malefic Visions, and his Voidlings only have a 450 cast range, so in this regard he has to expose himself much more than other mage supports. It's also worth mentioning that his build doesn't allow him to cap on cooldown reduction easily. Morellonomicon was a preferred item in the mid lane, but given the importance of items such as Liandry's and Rylai's, he can't really afford to purchase it until much later into the game. The best way to nullify Malzahar's laning phase is by playing a ranged matchup. He excels at punishing melee supports such as Thresh and Braum, as it's much easier to use Voidlings to harass in these matchups. Versus ranged supports, he will always be more exposed when walking up to cast spells, and ranged supports can keep their distance from his Voidlings. Malzahar is also relatively easy to gank if you can take down his passive beforehand, but do be careful in regards to the potential he has to turn a gank around with his Voidling damage. Finally, being able to kill Voidlings fast will reduce his trading potential in lane. This ties into a lot of his counters, which we will look at next. There isn't much to say about Malzahar in teamfights. He's quite basic in the sense that for the most part he's usually the one actively looking for a flash plus nether grasp to start a fight and kill a target, so be prepared to shut him down by cancelling his channel or shielding your teammate who is being ulted. In other fights where he can't reach the backline due to lack of flash or simply because his team is the one being engaged upon, Malzahar loses a lot of his power and will likely just try to silence targets from afar and suppress whoever he can to limit their role in a fight, so he isn't nearly as menacing. If you're a fragile melee champion, do respect his Voidlink and Malefic Vision's damage, especially when he has 2 to 3 completed items. Now that we have gone over Malzahar's strengths, weaknesses, and how to abuse those weaknesses, we can look at some good matchups you can use to pick against him right from Champion Select. Lulu is probably the easiest champion to play into Malzahar of the 3 we're listing. Firstly, Lulu's picks and powered auto attacks will one-shot Voidlinks provided all the bolts hit, as they hit the first unit in the way of Lulu's target. But this is very important, as Malzahar's Voidlinks are his main source of damage in lane. By playing more defensively and maxing out health picks first, Lulu will be able to negate incoming damage from Malefic Visions and also protect her AD carry better if he ever gets all in with Nether Grasp at level 6. With Whimsy and Wild Growth, Lulu has 2 ways to cancel out Malzahar's ultimate. Glitter Lance is also a relatively long-ranged ability, meaning she can consistently try to take out Malzahar's Void Shift and leave him more vulnerable. Next up is Tariq, and Tariq showed up as a pick initially in the LCK, and he's a soft counter to Malzahar. In lane, whenever Malzahar spawns Voidlings, Tariq can recast Bastion to gain a shield and negate part of the incoming damage. Using an ability will then activate Tariq's passive, Bravado, giving him an 100% attack speed buff on his next 2 auto attacks, which can help with taking down incoming Voidlings. Alternatively, Dazzle can be used to stop the rushing Voidlings and reposition to take less or no damage from them. When I mention Tariq is a soft counter, it's because unlike other picks, he doesn't excel at killing Voidlings or stopping all-ins with Nether Grasp. Technically, Tariq can cancel Nether Grasp with Dazzle, but in order to do so, Void Shift needs to be down, so it's not always feasible. The reason why Tariq is a soft counter is because unlike Lulu, it's much harder for him to cancel an all-in from Malzahar. He won't be able to cancel a Flash Nether Grasp combo immediately, but Cosmic Radiance allows Tariq and his team to have superior team fighting presence and play proactively. The idea with Tariq is for his team to be the ones initiating or playing on the counter engage. Timing Cosmic Radiance and going in onto the enemy team completely destroys Malzahar as a pick, as he won't be able to do anything aside from suppressing one target that will do no damage whatsoever. Finally, there's Misfortune. In professional play, you will mainly see MF appear as a support. She initially showed up as a counter to Zyra because her passive Love Tap would kill plants faster. Similarly, one auto from Love Tap will take 2 HP off of a Voidling. Misfortune can also reliably proc Malzahar's passive with Make It Rain, which will then leave him more exposed to incoming damage and crowd control. We do not recommend you run Misfortune support unless you have experience with the pick and know what you're doing. Alternatively, you can also run her in the AD carry position. Misfortune is one of the AD carries that can use lethality builds, so she just got a substantial buff on patch 7.2. Apart from matchups, there isn't much else to say, other than making sure you're getting a Quicksilver Sash rather early to be able to negate Malzahar's Nether Grasp. That's going to be all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Countered, and I'll see you guys next week. Let me know in the comments who you'd like to see covered in the next episode and why.